Oh, this was our favourite Calita, actually. Got a few photos here. This is actually on Isla Gordon. It's called Cinco Estrellas, which those of you who are fluent in Spanish will know means 5 stars. Of course, everybody knew that anyway. It was great walking ashore, lovely streams, and really, really pleasant. You could scramble up there. Um, it's yet another area that wasn't approved by the Armada for no apparent reason. They sort of mumble about surveys, but we know it was surveyed. We had a chart, um, and we got caught entering the bay outside. We hadn't seen one of the Navy boats coming along well behind us, and they called us up on VHF, first in Spanish, which you ignore, and then they call in English, you can't ignore it. So we said, okay, we're just photographing birds here, and sort of started turning in circles everywhere in the area we weren't supposed to be. And they said, oh okay. All right, where are you headed? So we immediately said, oh, Sino Pia, which we knew was an approved place. And so they didn't say much more, and we waited until they disappeared around the corner, and then we turned off the AIS and headed on in. There's the passage here. We're obviously in a little place here with about 5-6 meters of water. You thread your way out through here. This is all beautiful anchorages, and then you get out actually around the corner, way up here, and into the bay, which is off the Beagle. So you can imagine just how protected it was. It's just charming. Another reflective shot. We have about 6,000 photos, but there we are, looking down at ourselves, taking a photograph. It's that calm.
Some of the wildlife here was Porter Williams outfit when I was in the Gordon, and the east end of the Beagle, and this macaroni penguin kept by the yacht club today or so. It was nice to do a good look at this macaroni penguin close up.
We climbed up a little mountain, a hill behind Porto Williams, about 2,000 feet up where we are here. And much easier climb than getting up to the top of Mount Hobson here at Great Barrier, which is about the same height. Breeze was absolutely icy up there. Well, really, there was ice on the ground, and it was blowing about 30 knots. So you can imagine just how cold it was. Over here is the Beagle Canal. That's looking down the Beagle Canal towards the east. In here, this is Porto Williams, which is a small town, size of Russell, I suppose. And this is the McKelvey Yacht Club, southernmost yacht club in the world. There's a little airstrip over here, and a sand spit that sticks out here. I remember when we first came down here, the first time we came down the canal, again, it was 45 plus, and came around a buoy that's out here and came hard on the wind in here and just with spray everywhere, driving across the top of the boat, tight reach, and came in here under the shelter, and then we found that the port was closed. When they close the port, you're allowed to enter. You're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to use you're not allowed to do anything except enter. It was very nice of them to let us enter. Otherwise, I don't know what we would have done. The McKelvey is an old ship that was sunk here that provided a place to tie up to. And here we are. Bob mentioned earlier tonight when we were talking that the Canans has a burgee that is now in the McKelvey Yacht Club, the southernmost yacht club in the world, stapled to the deckhead with about 40 staples out of a staple gun, so nobody will nick it. There is one other New Zealand burgee in the McKelvey Yacht Club, and that came from Peter Blake and Seamaster and his crew when they were down there. This club is, they call it the McKelvey Yacht Club. It's sort of run by the Armada largely on a non-profit basis, and it's just got this wonderful ambience. The old ship was, when she was past her use-by date, they set her on the bottom, and the main saloon is the bar. It's got about a 6-foot headroom, so for people like Bob and me, it's absolutely ideal. For people like Mike Austin there, well, he gets the sore head. And there's the old ship there, still painted Armada grey, sitting there, as I say, a couple of meters at most, rise and fall. We can get about 28, maybe 30 yachts tied up. And there's a wonderful log fire in the corner and the best pisco sours in the whole of South America. There's no question about it. 2 is enough. I found out after I'd had 3 that 2 was more than enough. And if you're actually rafted up there, if you're the boat on the inside, it's really easy to get home. You do have tramp, crash, bang across the top of the boat all night as the others go home. If you're on the outside, you don't get that, but it's a bit trickier getting home after 3 piece goes sour.
Not exactly nice flattering photo, but
It also went in Boating magazine. Yeah.
These photos, unfortunately. This is inside the McKelvey, and you can see the Bergie in the corner. Can you?
Right up here. See, there it is.
Certainly there. I'm talking to Charlie, the German skipper, whose Bavaria 48, sank up the dragging the shore of night. He then shared the blades of the sail over the He had shoreline, really quite disastrous experience for him. His wife and 2 cats were on board, and they were brought back by the Armada. Then, of course, they had to try and salvage the boat. So, there's all sorts of problems. No travelers, no way of getting the boat out. And we had to check with the Chilean authorities before it was taken on fire. Then the wife said no, he couldn't. Just finished now, and got a year later. So it reminds us of the days being down there, so far away from really real support. I mean, there were people supporting him, but as for facilities.
Porter Williams again. Calvi Yacht Club on the right. You can see where the boats are moored. That's the El Dentes mountain range, which is very popular with trampers in the background. You've got to be well equipped to go down there. And here, when we were just 40 miles away up at Ela Gordon, cruising around there, we had a front go through, which gave us a bit of wind and a little bit of rain. They had 2 feet of snow here in Porter Williams, so it's very variable and very hard to say exactly what's going to happen. So the forecast really reflect that. Nice little town though. Just the eastern end of the Beagle, it's protected by quite a big island, narrow passes north and south of the island. One's Argentine, one's Chilean. These are spectacular limestone cliffs. They are Magellanic penguins, whales, seabirds. Very few people really. The odd cruise ship calls in for a little while. Lots of challenges. And the Southern Pass is the one that you have to use and go down to Cape Horn, 60 miles away. So we picked the weather and called into the Armada station and got our Zape, said Cape Horn circuit, and off we went. There are not many anchorages down around Cape Horn, but this is Ila Hornos here, and the southern tip, Cape Horn here. The Armada station sits up on here. This looks like good shelter, but it's not. GPS and charts don't line up very well at all. We were 55 south there, and I think you get down to about 56 south here. Coming down through here, we found that, well, while it was relatively calm up in here, we had about 20 knots blowing in through here and about a 5-meter swell, which wasn't the best. And so we came out and we had a decision time then. We had a discussion. I said we would beat to windward out here and put in a couple of boards and got out to Ela Hall over here and then came around here. Karin said, well, we only really want to go and look at Cape Horn. Why don't we just go out there and come back? And that was one that I won. And so we beat out around here, and there are reefs and rocks out around the base of the Horn and the island there. So we stayed out a reasonable distance. There it is, Cape Horn. Good weather, lovely blue sky, swell breaking over the reef there on the right, as you can see. So we kept a bit away from that. There is a passage inside the reef, but we're a bit conservative and decided not to try that.
I had to get this photo, apparently. The boat was leaping around so much, and I was sort of slithering around trying to hold on with one hand and take a photo with the other. So this was on a calm day, maybe before
Yeah, part of the problem is the backwash off the cliffs really kicks it up, like Piercy Passage when you go through the gap there. we we left from Bordeaux Williams in the Beagle behind. We left on the 23rd of March this year, equinox. Headed the 100 miles along to Lemaire Strait. That's the strait along the other end there, which is 15 miles wide, which is actually a much worse place than the Horn, actually, although it hasn't got the reputation in anybody's minds. It's got a tidal range, and this was the thing that I didn't realize before we were doing our planning down there to go through here. The tidal range south of Lemaire Strait is about 2 meters. North of Lemaire Strait, it's 15 meters. And what this means is that you end up with standing waves of 7, 8 meters in the passage at times. So we were a bit fortunate. We picked our weather, and with another French boat that left at the same time as us. Actually, very nice going through Lemaire Strait in the middle of the night with just 10-knot winds and slight seas. Current was against us, so it was a bit slow, but it was nice to see another little light around down there. It's a very, very lonely place. 180 miles north is the Straits of Magellan, the eastern end, and then a further 200 miles to our destination, a place called Porto Desiado. And all the way from Lemaire Strait right up to Porto Desiado, we got bumped around, tides running at maybe up to 4 knots at maximum, north and south along the coast. We were 100 miles out at sea and had westerlies of 30, 40 knots all the time. And so the seas that were kicked up, they did bounce us around for about 4 days. The beanbag was very comfortable, and we just lived in those survival suits really for 4 days and carried on. Further north of Desiado, after we'd been to Porto Desiado, a nice little town, which only had 7-meter tides, we got into a place called Calita Ornos, a lovely little spot, and that's the French yacht that we were with. Shorelines, quite long shorelines. We had to scramble up on the rocks. This is the complete opposite of from the other side of the continent, of course. Just rocks and cliffs. It was pretty windy at times through there. We were still getting 30 knots plus quite a bit of the time. So we stayed there for a few days and had a look at some of the wildlife, the guanacos and the sheep, things that are up in the hills.
So on the way north of Mar del Plata, the wind and sea was much improved.
That's it.
And we were able to actually take photos of the French yacht going with us. So as you can see, it doesn't look much improved, but it was. Yeah. Usually the sea flashes out the photos, so really, I mean, it's basically the worst thing. Further south, Jim was west of Crete. He was sleeping one night, all the heavy books on one side of his face landed on. So south of